So we can just lay back pretty much. All right, perfect. All right, good morning. Let's restart this. I hope you're all doing well here. Let me just mute this tab. So, hope everyone's doing well. September 20th here, Friday, to wrap up the week. We had the FOMC this week. We had a decent amount of movement overall. We also have OPEX today, right? We have OPEX. It is the quad witch, right? Which is it's a big deal overall, meaning that it is the quarter end for derivatives. It's not the quarter end in itself. So like the quarter end is going to be obviously at the end of this month until we have that final quarter for the year. But we have derivatives that expire, right? It's called a quad witch because we've got equity options and futures that do expire on the third Friday of every quarter's month end, I guess. So we have the U contract that's going to expire for the S&P, the NASDAQ, right? Everything, all the futures there. So generally, these OPEX moves on a month-to-month basis are a little more choppy and they're not the best of movers. On a quarterly basis, even more so. So you can expect to see a little more volatility, a little more movement realistically, a lot of chop. I would say there could be situations where we have just like chop sideways movement, nothing happens, then all of a sudden we get a more exaggerated move, we get a more reactive move. So it's going to be one of those days where I'm going to try to exercise as much patience as possible. Yesterday I had pretty much like I guess I had like two trades yesterday, but they came like super late in the session. I had one overall like decent trade towards the end of the day. I waited all day, so today's going to be very similar. We had the FOMC that came out on Wednesday, first rate decision, the aggressive 50 basis point cut. So we're going to have to just take this step by step, and I think like today's going to be another one of those days just to get this week over with that. We want to really be patient with the movement. So we'll see how this shapes up. I'm going to go over my plan for the equities and what I'm expecting for the equities today. And realistically, I'm looking at two levels, and I'll explain exactly what it is that I want to see and how I think this thing's going to shape up on the futures front. So starting off a little earlier here today because we are streaming, so I'll take a look at what's going on from the perspective of the equities. We'll do NASDAQ and the S&P. These are the SPOOs over here, and I'm looking at the overall balances. So I'm trying to break this down. We have this like all-time high balance. Finally, we move within it, right? It's this balance was getting teased, I guess, like from this like mid 30, low 30, all the way back into late August. It was getting teased, and we got this like larger move to the downside from late August into early September. Now, finally, we've broken above it, and yesterday's overnight session led the way, where the idea was we should hold the bottom band of that balance to continue the originating move to get a leg into the all-time high. That was the thought process, right? So we did that. That happened, and we got a layer above this auction high around that like 85 area. So like around the 85 is the top band of the distribution I'll be watching. We got that failure, and we came back in. The overnight session so far is holding a little more within. So the way that I'm seeing this is I'm looking for some kind of bearish pressure to wrap up the week, right? We had that failure. We're still into this balance to the upside, which is theoretically bullish as long as 45 holds. But this like failure into these highs, I don't love. So I'll be looking to see if anyone wants to come back towards that mid 80, right, on today's session to see if that sell side wants to come in. Otherwise, we'll have bearish under the big, right, to go and target the larger auction to the downside, clean up some of this overnight, yesterday's overnight low volume, right, that unfinished auction down there. What's here that's interesting that I was looking at on the overnight session is pretty thick negative delta into the positive delta into the overnight highs. Here we have a decent amount of positive delta even a bit higher. So people are a little trapped on the long side, but also there's a lot of negative delta towards the lower band of that auction, which is going to be concerning. So that's why I like the potential initial potentially start sweeping a little more to the downside overall. So that's one of the things that I'm going to be looking at the S&P 500 futures. I am looking for some of that downside, but it's a better factor if we do break under that 45. That's how this thing kind of gets cleaned up a little more. So I'm slightly bearish. I want to see if those areas trade and get rejected into that mid 80. If I look at NASDAQ looks a bit weaker. NASDAQ tagged a key area. S&P made new all-time highs yesterday. NASDAQ was trying to move into this auction to the upside. The bottom band is around 970, right? 19,970, the way that I'm looking at this. So far in the overnight, we're trying to hold above it, right? So within this auction, there's not too many regions that I'm going to try to sell into. There's like an intermediate level that sits somewhere at the 080. You could argue like at the 120 as well. Like I'm just looking at where the yesterday's value area low was, as well as like that heavy volume which comes into that 080. For me, realistically, I probably just want to see if we can break under this 970 on NASDAQ on that sell side. The idea is to hold lower highs if there's going to be any kind of continuation to the downside here. And like acceptance under 900 is what opens up some of that bear side. So I do have a slight lean to the sell side. It's just a matter of if we can actually sustain a lower high off of the opening print and like the morning session overall in these equity markets to try and fixate on that move. So that's kind of where I'm starting things off, right? I'm wrong and I'm bullish if we just continue to press through the highs from yesterday, right? That's fine. If that happens, that's great. It's OPEX. I'm not trying to like identify too many trades to start off with. Realistically, I'm not trying to over trade this, but there's pretty much two levels on both assets right now. Like 080 on NASDAQ and 970-ish, 960, and then H on SPOOs and down to 46.45. That's it. Those are the only areas I care about. I'm just looking for the pop and drop, right? That's how the overnight and yesterday's close kind of shaped up. So I want to see if we can follow through with a pop and drop. So let's see here. Morning, everyone that's coming in. Justin, Evan, Laurent, Edwin, Aran, Marco, welcome. Let's put Steven on here. He'll talk about oil, and then we'll get back to, I don't know, waiting for the market to open.
Morning, Vic.
Morning.
How are you?
Doing well. How you doing?
Doing all right. You ready to go?
So,
All right. So, good morning,
yeah.
Victoria. Good morning, TRADEPRO Academy. Bull market is down just a little bit this morning, about 30 cents. We opened below where we opened yesterday. Globex has been largely flat, just kind of winding around the VWAP. It's a fairly sleepy market today. The pivot sitting at 70.58. We had our open at 70.79. VWAP's just above that. R1's up at 72.06. S1's down at 69.66. And just a lot of sideways at the moment. There is no trend on. I mean, the trends are down, but your eyes, if you just look at the chart, can tell you that the market's not trending. We're not having higher or lower anything go on much. We're just kind of bebopping sideways. So we'll watch this, see if there's an opportunity, and we'll trade it. Victorio, back to you.
Perfect. Let me know if you guys have any questions overall. We got a bit of time here. I'll wait a bit longer. I guess people want me to repeat the plan. Here, I'll type it out in Discord and then I'll repeat it. Overall, like I don't want to get like carried away, but like I want to see if some like bearishness tries to come out today. We have a lot of accumulated negative delta into the overnight lows, which can present the first pop, but I am looking to see if we can sell some rallies today. I think yesterday was kind of like a little head fake above that all-time high that closes the Friday a little weaker. Obviously, like if we move above 85 and like 0.80 on the Nasdaq, like I'm wrong, it's fine. But I want to see if it is OPEX too, so that's like another factor. Like I'm probably gonna look for 1-2 trades today, see if that kind of shapes up. And like the first one, honestly, I want to sell a rally. What is going on with this fucking keyboard? Jeez, it's like typing by itself. Oh my god. Okay. The S&P, like I guess it's like a midpoint area is around the 72, but I'm just trading I'm just trading auction extreme to auction extreme. I don't care about anything in between 45 and 85, honestly. Those are like lower probability areas. Those are order flow areas. If you want to trade order flow based trades on OPEX, go ahead, but I'm probably not gonna play with those midpoint areas. I didn't play with the midpoint areas yesterday. I'm not gonna play with them today. Like you have like imbalances in between around like 60 and whatever, but like I don't really care. Either 85 trades or 45 trades. That's it. OPEX Friday, like play in the middle of auctions. That is okay, but it's not for me. What time is it? Yeah, like 8 minutes here. He's like, I guess like past few weeks here in the futures market, it's been a bit like choppier and dicier to trade, honestly. And like I've been pulling back a lot more in terms of trading frequency and like finding opportunities. Like I think that pulling yourself out of that and trying to find like the biggest, most important areas to trade is a key not only to these market conditions but just to longevity in general. Like if you look at this overall, like there you can find like multiple different areas that are based on whatever you even look at. Like if it's based on like auction theory, like what I look at, or like order flow based, and you're finding areas every like 3, 5, 10 points even, like those there can be some validity, but overall, like what I'm looking for is the largest potential imbalance in terms of where we are in the markets, right? Like Because if I look at, for example, if I'm looking at the S&P, the largest potential imbalance are balance extremes, auction extremes. So like the top band of the current auction that we're sitting at, and the bottom band is over here. Everything in between, yeah, okay, you can say there's a volume drop off here, there's a volume drop off here. This was yesterday's value area low, volume, right? Volume over here, blah, 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 all of this. But this is the biggest portion of the balance, right? Meaning that each side of this is an extreme where the highest probability of an active trader is actually sitting a strong-handed active trader. So like those are the areas that I care about. Meaning that some days, right, there might not even be a trade, which is honestly okay. But usually there is, right? Usually there is. Go get a water. And then we've got like 5 minutes anyways till this market opens. It's behind me this whole time. Oh. Slipping lower here, almost making new lows of the overnight session. Nasdaq not really doing that just yet. 2 minutes. Morning, everyone that's coming in. See what these equities are up to. Nvidia kind of gapping a little lower pre-market. Amazon down, or Amazon up a little. Sorry, Microsoft down a little. Google gapping up, nice, solid. Apple trying to gap up a little. Big deal on any of these. Let's see, Tesla. Tesla pulling back a little. IWM small caps. And Dow Jones, last one. I don't see necessarily a strong directional push in either side here, but still looking a little bearish to start.
Morning, Vico, Oxy, everyone.
Morning,
Trade Pros,
Fatty, what's up?
YouTube.
Morning.
What's up, guys? What's up? What's up? Where are you leaning, Vic, today? Buying the dip?
I want to see if the bear side opens up. I want to see if there's a little morning rally that they sell into. That's kind
Me
of my
too.
lean.
Me too, honestly, because like we kind of tapped that overnight high. After that, we're pulling back. I think we're in for a deeper pullback early on in the morning session. I would love to get a retest for around like 0.80 on Nasdaq to see if like sellers can step into that region. But yeah, there's the open. Let's see.
Oh yeah, here it is. Bunch of freaking alerts here. Let's see this open initial attempted pop, which is fine. That's what we wanted to see. Where's my timer?
Can't trade without it.
Can't trade without it. What was I thinking here? We'll put this timer up. We'll wait the first 15 minutes overall. Get a better view of what this market wants to do. Nas comes in like 0.55 or something. S&P barely pops and gets like slapped back down. Got a lot of volume, a lot of negative delta into the lows. Oops, I may have paused the timer for a second. I accidentally hit the space bar. Anyways, the S&P again, divergence yet again. This is interesting. The last like few days, what we've noticed, like we're off the opening print, there's been a pretty decent divergence where actually the S&P leads a lot of the charge. So Nasdaq trying to rally right now, trading 0.55s, S&P trading new lows, right? So they're still starting to see if we can pull back on the spoos here. Nasdaq could pop up, maybe trade 0.80, 0.90 or something, and then we start seeing some sell pressure from there. But spoos, I don't know if we trade that 0.85 on the spoos. This guy's looking a little dangerous, but
Right now, Nasdaq had a 40-point rally almost at the 80 spoos, barely moved off the lows. Very much the clear divergence that we've been seeing every morning. And I feel like the best trades come when they kind of like get on the same page instead of the stupidity that happened early morning where you're trying to predict which one is right, which one is leading. So at some point they get on the same page, and like if Nasdaq
yeah,
fails
exactly.
off these highs right now and Spruce breaks the lows, okay, then we're leaning bearish. It kind of makes sense. Look, that's a
Yeah,
nice
for sure.
reaction there.
It was a good reaction. Just like if you're trading Nasdaq a lot better. If you're trading the spoos, like you're selling the low.
Yeah.
Let's see. They're selling this low pretty hard. Like SPOOs they left behind at 62, 61, 3/4. Like a lot of positive delta now below that negative delta. Big sellers trying to hammer into this. You don't have like too much room until you get down into that like 45-ish area, but let's see. Let us see. One of the things, like if the SPOOs actually hold like a rally, and like even if we pop like 10, 15 points, I think the NASDAQ gets bid up pretty hard, which kind of puts it in a weird spot. Where is my NASDAQ dog? I like the reactions on like NAS that are getting offered here. It's just one, oh my god, why does this timer just keep shit in the bed? How many minutes do I need? 10?
10 minutes.
I keep like stopping and starting this timer, so my bad, but okay, we just restart it for another 10. What I'm saying is like you're getting some like rotationary bullshit. You got OPEX, like what I'm saying is that the S&P, I think there's like sell potential, but I think at higher prices from where we're at, which would pull NASDAQ like a decent bit higher, which is unfavorable, I guess. So like best case scenario, Spoos just shits the bed at these lows. Is what I'm trying to say. Still like 8 minutes until I generally have a better sense of what it is that I'll be looking for, but not much has happened. I was just watching, seeing these spoos coming into a cluster of like a negative delta again. Nasdaq's still rotating here under its silly little 0.80. Pretty strong rejection from around 0.80 on Nas. Oh well. Nas trying to reject. Choppiness though. Like S&P kind of in the middle of nowhere. S&P, the tightest little current IB is trading right now. Nasdaq trying to go in on an offer. From that 0.80 holding pretty low right now. Offer still looks pretty heavy here. It's just like the spoos are, I don't know, just choppy. The spoos are just like holding out into this area. Not much has really happened here. Nasdaq has tried to sell off a little more. Spoos are starting to offer a little more now. Let's see if spoos managed to break a low here. or not a low, but like the current little retest while Nasdaq's trying to catch a bid right now. Fantastic. Nasdaq rising, S&P pulling up, pulling down. This is what Friday opixes are made of. Never forget. S&P trying to get off, or Nasdaq trying to hold out here right now.
Yeah, the picture almost changed now. Nasdaq's weaker. Sorry, Nasdaq's stronger.
All right, now I can click in this very juicy market. Nasdaq like failed so far from that 0.80, sure, right? Like, but it's not really doing too much to continue this leg to the downside. If anything, these guys are like trying to catch a bid on these like rotations here. S&P pulled down, made a new low. Nasdaq couldn't do the same. Like if I'm looking at the order flow as well, like the Nasdaq looks a bit busier on the buy side here. Which is weird.
Nasdaq is just too strong to short at the moment, and SPOOS is like weak, so that's the only thing going for it. It's almost trying to predict which one is leading, because SPOOS can bounce at these lows, kind of head fake, and we go visit that 66 or 68 again. And Nasdaq can feel the 80 again, so it's like I don't know who to trust watching for more price action. Nice failure on Nasdaq.
I'm actually surprised Nas hasn't offered more aggressively today.
Yeah, me too.
Every little wins up on the S&P, Nasdaq rallies like 20 points. S&P's really weak.
Nasdaq, yeah, no, S&P got into the 60 where they have the cluster of delta rejected right away. Nasdaq the same.
Just like Nasdaq's not playing ball right now.
I'll take a jab at Nasdaq short 56 to 58. Missed that fill.
The way that this is going, I'm probably good.
Yeah.
Someone unloaded a lot of selling at 0.40 on Nasdaq. It's not really going down from there. The freaking rotations. This is crazy stuff.
No fill. Too low to click, I guess. I like that that moment is like offer 62 on ES where you have like a big cluster by delta. Nasdaq kind of taps into 70, fails, shows signs of weakness, rotation. I try to get on board. That's usually my setup. Couldn't get the fill of that. And honestly, I don't know if I want it back because this kind of choppy who's hovering around these lows, and every bounce up comes with like a 30-point sweep to the upside on Nasdaq. So I don't want to kind of leave it hanging out.
Nasdaq just like rallies like 20, 25 points in like a millisecond here. This is like
Yeah.
super choppy right now, just rotating everywhere. S&P trying to hold its lows down to like high 50. Like I don't really care about that level, but they're just rotating here. Not much of movement, honestly. Like Nas just doesn't look weak. That's the
Weak
issue.
at all, yeah. It's hovering at highs, so it's like it's in a better area for the short, but as far as order flow weakness, it's just not there. The weakness is on the spoos, but spoos hovering towards the lows is almost too dangerous to sell. I think watching more here is better because one side is gonna lead the move, and after we get the first expansion, we can get on a pullback after direction is confirmed. Just comes towards the top and it does that though, Nasdaq's. Yeah.
Nasdaq, the key is if it can break this like 35, like 0.35, I guess. Otherwise, ping pong. Rotation. I might fire some shorts on Nas if it comes back to the 0.70, honestly. But like, how many rotations is it gonna take? I think there's still weakness in it. Like if this is a low break, that'd be pretty funny. 0.34, 0.35 spoos. Let's see if they can break these lows. 300s trying to trade on the spoos into the lows on the sell. Yeah, Nasdaq going back to 0.80. Let's try and sell this time. Huh? Impressive.
With the open, we haven't done much. We hold the 30 on Nasdaq till about 70, and then we offer, so it's a range. I think the breakout of the range comes to the downside, so I was trying to look for a short and didn't get it. Last time I offered from 70, it was just too quick.
Kind of just had to like stick
And
it.
leave the limit, yeah, mark it into it.
Just stick it in and see what happens. But like they're looking pretty selly into these lows for the first time on these rotations. Obviously, that could just like swing back to the upside, but right now
They're both on the same page, hovering towards lows, so there's good no divergence.
holy shit, shut up. I put these stupid alerts on if they're gonna do it every like 5 minutes. Seems like freeze up. They're still trying to sell into these lows. My good. But Spoo's trying to revive a little. A lot of selling into that low. It's OPEX, just range it for the rest of the day. Yeah, I guess like that like 0.80, 0.70 on the NQ made a lot more sense realistically. Like I do like the sell side to continue target see like 970 and then go from there. Like S&P still has some ways to go until you see that 45. ES looks like shit though. Nasdaq sell press continues here. There you go. us a decent, so. Should we have more in it? It's just like the S&P, I don't know, I didn't really like any of those pullbacks. I think like Nasdaq the 080 made sense to me. It's just like Nasdaq was a little annoying because it rallied so many freaking times to that like 070 area.
Yeah. A lot of those moments had a lot of strength too, so you couldn't short into them.
You just had to just throw the limit in and pray.
Yeah.
Here comes the notes. S&P close to the 45 area. I think like honestly the next trade seems like the break and retest of that like 970 on the NQ. There's a little activity on the buy side right now though. So if this juicy seller can come and slap this thing lower, at least like 970 should trade, you know.
And just seeing that Eurozone consumer confidence flash for September, that's minus 12.9, so above the expected negative 13.
S&P close 51 now. These buy reactions are a little sneaky. Honestly, that's at least 070 people. Like, what the hell? Or 970, sorry. Eh. I like the potential a little lower on both these guys. Maybe we can find some buyers at that distribution low, closer to 960, 970, but like trying to get reactive here. Like S&P yesterday, like on the spoos, I was looking for that 45. These guys traded 48 and then the buyers came in. So that was like pretty annoying. Attempted bid into this low. again. So this might be cooked for a bit. A lot of buying into this low. Again, SPOO's kind of evading that 45 area, NASDAQ kind of evading that 970. Hmm. A lot of imbalance at 52 on the SPOOs here. Those are holding a bit. These guys are holding a little bit. The thing is, I don't know. I can't really comment too much. We're in between these like auctioneers. I'm just watching how the flow's trading and like if we can trade some of these extremes. I'm waiting for a Nasdaq like 970, see what happens there. These guys held the 080 area pretty well. Just waiting. Maybe SPOOs trade that 58 area. I don't know. Some decent sell trying to come in at 55s here on the SPOOs.
I'm trying the short on Nasdaq 0.16 to 18. I like that last rejection. Sellers are struggling to find momentum though on Nasdaq. That's the annoying part. It's like, where is the excitement from earlier?
Where to be seen. I don't know, like I said, I don't touch this between these auctions, so there's like nothing for me to do right now. Heavy reoffer trying to keep coming into the 0.20 on the Nasdaq. Spoons getting offered into the lows. Big order is trying, nothing happening. This is what it's all about, team.
Oh, one lot. Let's go.
This one,
97, 96.
White House's Kirby
Need
said
to break the lows here and get into that 70. Ah, let's go. Step on it. 2 lots out. 3 more. Spools, come on, baby. Yeah. They're retesting the lows, so if you have like the short, just consider taking some off here. This is the low. Buyers are sneaky.
Yeah, fucking buyers every time into that stupid low. Have faith. 970 to break. Almost. $47 on the spoos. Alright, this is where we're getting interested now. I've done frickin' nothing all day waiting for these areas. Like, I think that region on the NAS 080 made the most sense, but I was kind of waiting for the first few minutes for things to shape up. Let's see now, SPOOs and NAS, both at these auction low areas. So this is where I get intrigued as to what's going on right now. I might honestly just punt some longs off these lows and see if we can catch like even like this faintest of bids here. Like if I can get filled into that like 0.46, 0.45. Ideally, it's not like one of those situations where we just one touch bounce, right? Ideally, there's some kind of potential to it. Treating this as a fade counter trend, not expecting too much movement off this. Ideally, like there's a pop before we try to get the acceptance under this area. As that kind of blows. The issue here with this is like 50-51 has some resistance to it on these spoos.
It's fading a bit here, Vic, I'll give you that. It is fading. Sellers are fading into these lows. Good long. I have one left on the short on Nasdaq. It's a good move. Like I got it from like 18 down into 80. So not complaining. I was hoping for a break below, but it's not giving that. Boost kind of rebounding of some stuck sellers at the lows. Nice, good long idea. I like it.
Thanks. I don't
It's
think it has
just
potential in it though. That's the thing.
it's like you don't know how far it's gonna get, so it's just you might want to manage it tight. Manage it like you manage a fade.
Pretty
It's-
much, yeah.
Yeah, go to break even quicker. And nice long. Whew.
Thanks. Didn't get a full fill on this, but it's okay. Whatever. I'm out on most of it. Yeah, if it goes, it goes. It's okay. I'm glad I didn't get a full fill. Why do I keep doing this? Holy shit. I'm honestly just gonna flatten this here. My God. Whoops. I did this yesterday again. Because someone mentioned in the chat, like, why isn't it not showing? And I'm like, why is it not showing? Because this is for the micros. I thought I was trading micros. That was on a mini position. So I'm glad I didn't get that fulfilled. That would have been like 12 minis. Jesus fuck. Anyways, whatever. That's it. Honestly, little fade, right? We trade into the 55. Fantastic. Fade the bottom of the auction. Now let's just break the bottom of the auction and we'll carry on with our day. Looking to continuously sell rise. I was leaning a little more bearish today. I got to get these DOMs organized because on Fridays, generally, especially on OPEX, I wanted to trade like 12 micros or something. Put on 3 minutes here by accident. So at least it didn't fill all of them, because if that was a loss, then see you guys never. Would have been a 10K gain, Mike, but could have also slapped me in the ass. Whatever, it filled my normal size for minis anyway, so like it's fine. But if it filled like the 12, then that would have been a little ugly. That's what I don't know. I think that's pretty much the trade that I wanted today. Just one. Maybe we get, like, I like the bear side. Like maybe we get a little push higher. I didn't want to overstay my welcome on this. Like 47s up to 55. Like I'm fine with that. If you have more on, like obviously try to trail this. Like take pieces off, try to trail. Like 58 is a general big target for me. And then go from there. But I'm not sizing in big. 20 points on spoos, one trade, a few minutes. That's it.
Interesting, the divergence here right now. Spoos towards the resistance. Nasdaq still close to these lows. Honestly, heavy on the offer. Buy Nas or sell spoos.
I don't know. I don't really want to play within the middle of these divergences or in these balances. Sorry. Spoos, if you're still long, like fine, keep going. But I think it's going to be hard to get through 57, 58 on the spoos. Where would I sell both S&P and Nasdaq? Like under these balance lows. That's what I've been waiting for. Like I tried to put some limits on into that 0.80 on Nas earlier, but I didn't get filled. I think it only traded 0.80 once. Maybe I was a little greedy, but it was a good area. So yeah, let's see. Like I do still like the bear side, like from what I explained this morning. Sell pressure looks pretty solid, but like I don't know I don't know how deep it actually goes. It'd be nice to see like an afternoon sell, you know, like one of those like OPEX, like just dumps.
Or AAL, American Airlines, is seeking to delay resuming some China flights amid lagging consumer demand.
So let me know if you have any questions, but thanks for bringing that to my attention. Why wasn't the order showing? I wondered as well, but because it was the wrong contract. Nasdaq showing a little more weakness now, like what Fatty was saying. You buy Nas or you sell spoos? Yeah, a good short there, Fatty. I thought we'd break that 970 for you, but
Couldn't do it. I'm not complaining. It was a the move I needed.
Yeah, on OPEX, I was just like, if I can get the hit once, if I can run.
The my next best trade, honestly, like I still have 2 micros on the short, but like that's nothing. It's like we see 960 here on Nasdaq, 970. You hit fake below that, full strength coming up from it. Then I might put on a long, or if we break and extend below, I'll look for the short. Right now, it's just that I don't know. I kind of had the chance to buy 980 on Nasdaq a bunch of times, and I couldn't do it because I'm short from above. I think it's just my bias, but yeah, I'm gonna do it of this level. If you break above like 0.60, I start okay, turning more pullback by the pullback mode.
Yeah, they like
It's
both these
not like
areas.
it's not tough to get a read on what's going on. It's just the price action is like the kind of triggering for me. This type where like you get into an area, you sell, then you range for like half an hour, and then you get into the next area and you range again. So it's like before we were doing this dance like between 0.80 and like 35. Now we're just doing it lower. A nice bounce here out on these shorts. Like just geez, should have bought that 80.
Yeah, it's pretty
Still,
good. That's what I was thinking too. I'm like, do I just like double dip on Nas and on the spoos? But I think I would just late on Nas. Still moving a decent bit. Like this is a general target. I kind of got surprised because I was holding minis by accident. I don't know. I didn't really want to take the risk on the Friday like that, so I just flattened it. But I'm okay with that. I was looking for one move. These like midpoint areas, everything in between here, like that's not a massive extreme ledge. Like I don't care about.
you whipsaw you to hold any trades. Like even if you're long 980, like you take a rotation like that against you, it makes you nervous. The same thing on the short. Like how many times we retest like 16, 18, 20, and then like just dump. So making a range like that, it's just harder to hold a winner or a runner or anything. So that's what sucks. You get on the right direction and then you hold for a bit, take some profit, get stopped at break even, start looking for another entry.
My only other entry is if we come back into 85 on the high end. If it goes from here, honestly, I'd be kind of impressed. I don't think that there's like too much juice in these longs, but been incorrect before. Now what? Like the midpoint area based on just order flow, like 58, 57 on the spoos realistically should present a sell. Next move is if we can actually break this like 46 area, 43. Even under like 33 would get a little more heavy on the sell for me. IMO on these spoos. I don't know, I think the afternoon brings out a little more on the offer, where like we can get a decent little slip, close out the week. Again, if I'm looking at like the SPY, or sorry, the S&P today, I don't know, I guess like if you were selling the rotations from like the morning, you could have gotten the majority of this move, but I don't see anything like super viable. The Nasdaq looked a lot better. Both still within their IB. Well, I guess the IB is about to completely form. I don't know. Let me take a look at what's going on around the universe of stonks. Nvidia kind of flat, honestly. What was the other one? It was Microsoft down. Let's see if Apple held it. Like, not really. Google had a decent gap up actually pre-market and then kind of shit the bed. Apple, or this is Amazon, sorry. We could be in for like a medium term kind of turning point here where we've created a top. Like tech doesn't look super happy with what it's done. Like if I look at SMH, for example, we popped yesterday, kind of lower lows, lower highs continued here. Seasonality is still weak. Kind of inflated move after the Fed.
I saw Nasdaq. Where's those?
Yeah. I want to see both of these lows break. 57.58 is also offering from the spoos right now, a decent bit. But we gotta make new lows. They're kind of changing hands here. Like Nas is showing a little more weakness. I think Nas just made a new low of day, even though it was like, or no, I don't think it has.
Almost.
I like
Couple
that
more
day.
points.
Yeah. The Dom order flow queue. All I ever see on my last. So Justin, you probably have like the wrong setting. Like what you'll have to do if you go into your like on the DOM, if you go into trade and then you go into chart DOM settings, right? Like this is, if you pick this up, chart DOM settings, like if I change my recent bid and ask timeout of milliseconds to 3,500, Some people like people generally use 2,500 to 3,500. I'll just use 3,500 so I can see those big ass numbers. So you probably have that wrong setting, right? If you're looking at like NASDAQ, again, if you change one of the DOMs, you'll change them all. But if you're looking at like the NASDAQ DOM, for example, I think it's a setting problem because I'm seeing like decent double digits, right? NASDAQ prints a low. I think like, what was this low here? 67 half, bids up. S&P can't even trade 45s. A little trouble here for this. Auction that was holding.
You want to throw up the early exit bit?
Yeah, sure. Let's see, these foods are still trying to hold against that big negative delta cluster. And you lose, damn it. Just in the setting is if you go into like if you pick out your DOM and you go into trade and then you go into chart DOM settings, it should show up. Um, what the expected movement was today for this market, because OPEX usually brings out everyone that fucking guesses based on all this options order flow bullshit, where like you're guessing volatility, this and that, all these Greeks, where it's going. Well, you can just say it's probably just going to range since it's quad witch and get it over with, barely trade it, take one trade and then just walk away. This thing's gonna be ugly. It is pinned, honestly. Pinned slight downside maybe, but just generally pinned. A little surprised we haven't gotten that breakdown overall. We're still holding that low, like S&P is pretty much trading 60. So actually a really good move off that low that I wasn't expecting. NASDAQ holding the distribution low as well. But I guess it is a massive auction low. Like it is going to be a harder thing to break. But testing on NASDAQ, I mean, testing it like 3 times and still holding. Honestly, good for NASDAQ. Since nothing's happening too much, I highly doubt I'll have another trade. Why don't you guys suggest a topic of conversation? We'll rant about it for the next 20 minutes or so. Anything that you want to know.
How many eyes do insects have? Let's revisit that conversation.
No, we've had that one too many times. We'll store that one for like a few quarters, then bring it back to life. When we've completely forgotten about its existence.
The eyes legs debate.
Yeah, the classic. It's a trader classic, honestly. Can I explain the short bias? Shouldn't we be bullish until we accept into a distribution low regarding the fact that we had a head fake yesterday? Well, that is like partially why I bought it at the distribution low. The bearish bias does come from the failure to hold above a high, right? Like it's the same concept as if you like, yeah, okay, we didn't really spend too much time in this balance to the upside, in this all-time high balance. It was only like 2 sessions before we head faked and I actually pulled lower.
On the geopolitical front,
But if we look at
it has attacked
gains and like try to decipher these auctions like that, right? Because
it was responsible for assassinations.
That's good talking about. Because it's the same concept realistically. Like the thought on auction theory, especially when you have a balance area, like let's grab this balance, something like this, right? We can say. So realistically, every time we move above this balance, you're getting into an area that theoretically has lower volume, trying to attract into a new balance higher. So the thought process is like, yeah, okay, this is pretty bullish, but it comes at a price, right? The price is, can we actually hold above this expansion and continue? If we fail this expansion constantly, right, we pop up, we get a failure, we close below, right? It continues and continues and continues. That tells you that the buy side just evaporates into these highs, and no one wants to be buying the expansion, right? Every time you head fake and pop up and you reopen and close within the balance, that's telling you that the strength of the momentum is to that sell side, because like if you're able to move inside an area that has that much volume into a balanced area, especially if you close within it, if you're able to move within it after the expansion of low volume, it's a lot harder to move through a heavy volume block rather than a skinny low volume block. So the fact that you continuously close and move back within this heavier block is telling you that the buy side had their chance, right? It's going to be easy for the buyer to move into a low volume area and just like go on the like the offer lifting spree, but the fact that you keep coming back into this heavier volume, closing, reopening, is telling you that there's a bearish narrative on this session. So, or these past 2 sessions. So it's the same concept right now, right? Yesterday, we had the all-time high break. Let's call the all-time high 83. I know it was 82.5, whatever, 83, 85, because a lot of imbalance came in from there. 85, you had this massive at the ask trade that happened. I don't know how many thousands it was, but it created realistically a big trap that pulled lower to the end of the day. So above these areas, but we can't hold, right? Head fake, close below. For me, if you move into an area that's like an all-time high with like virtually no volume, and you can't continue the bid or try to close above, because we moved above it like a handful of points. You close back below it and you're below all of the imbalances that were created into those highs, then that for me speaks the bearish bias. Let me know if that answers that question. We got a few questions here. So, number one, how to read a z-score and putting it all together. So, it's a big topic actually. So a z-score is just like an extreme standard deviation read, right? Like if you've taken statistics and you've drawn normal distribution, the z-score is going to be some value, right? So when you have a large expected z-score like 2.96, for example, like a z-score on a normal distribution, that's generally considered what the third standard deviation, or is that the right number? I can't even remember anymore. Was it 1.96? Whatever, it doesn't really matter. Anyways, this is considered like a deep standard deviation, right? For all those statistics nerds out there, don't fault me. I can't remember what the exact score was. But anyways, a z-score in statistics is like a key extreme based on a normal distribution. Normal distribution looks like this, right? With the mean in the middle. And then you have negative standard deviation, -2, -3, right? That go into here on the left side. +1, right? +2, +3 standard. So like less tail risk. This realistically, the z-score is it's a very basic factor actually, because what you're looking at is kind of like the beginning of like a mean reversion, if you will. Like a z-score is just the simplest, most noob level idea of thinking in terms of something being extremely pushed to one side of a standard deviation. So like very overextended to one side or the other, right? I wouldn't read the z-score by itself. Like I said, it's like kindergarten of understanding regimes slash when markets are overbought, oversold, mean reversion, right? Stuff like that. So I wouldn't use it by itself. I think it's a decent tool to consider in like long-term positioning. There's a lot of other factors that go into it that I've talked about with some people recently in a group, but like some factors like volatility, breadth. You can look at what else was it? I forget. Anyways, z-score is just one piece of the pie. That's like a very low level idea of where markets are extremely like overextended, if you will. And the way that I look at it, it's like I'm not necessarily trying to, here, if I could find it, that'd be great, so I can show you. I'm not necessarily trying to find tops with it, right? That's one of the key factors that I think people should understand. When I'm looking at a z-score realistically, like if I look at this is the z-score down here. If I look at a z-score, realistically, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to identify where it's extremely oversold. So you start getting towards -3. For me, the simplest use of this is just like buying VOO, for example, like long-term shit. So I'll just like dump some positioning into that. It's like a good dollar cost average, you know? But like I'll use it in conjunction with like breadth and other factors to maybe pinpoint a better bottom, as an example. Was a good topic. Once price slices, let me just open this for a second. Once price slices through a mid-level distribution, does that level become a pivot? I need a little clarification to answer that. So is the question if price goes into the middle of a distribution? And then the final question here, we'll talk about it. But right now, like SPOOs they're holding a bit better. They're still trying to fail from that like 58 area. Nasdaq's still trying to make a new low here. Like I think like Nasdaq is kind of overblown trying to buy these like rotations. It looks very similar to what had happened in the morning session where they kept like rotating from like 0.35 or whatever, eventually to sell IMO. So the bounce from today's lows, ES 47, 46, from my experience, looked pretty slow on the reaction from buyers, but size was there on distribution extremes. How important are reactions and aggressiveness? Well, theoretically, good question. Reactions and aggressiveness are pretty important. I like to see that from the order flow concept, right? As long as like a big buyer, like buying steps in and like rebidding happens. Like rebidding is a very important factor. Now, obviously, speed is a pretty important factor. I do like speed when I'm looking at the order flow on the DOM, but also the fact of like rebidding is helpful too, right? Because for example, if like size comes in and someone's selling constantly 3, 4, 500 lots into a low, and like nothing happens except for like the bid that pops up like 3, 4 ticks, 3, 4 ticks continuously with like very heavy buying, and it continues to rebid, it continues to rebid, it continues to rebid. I like that a little more realistically. Or I should say I don't like it a little more, but I still consider that a factor in trying to buy it. Aggressiveness and speed are like the most obvious trait in order flow for sure, which I thought it was pretty okay. I thought like the bid that came in was pretty solid, but I like the rebid a lot more, meaning like every time some kind of seller came in, it just like started to bid aggressively. Every time it tries to pull down, if bids keep coming in at like higher prices, that's good. Solid topics. Thank you for the questions. I think that filled in a lot of time because I don't really think that I'm going to be doing much with this price movement. I was just watching that 58 area try to react on the SPOOs on the Nasdaq, like break the low. I don't know. And like again, I don't love trading in the middle of these balances personally, so that's why I haven't been attacking that 58 on the sell. I'd rather them expand, especially Nasdaq here. Nasdaq doing the same bullshit from the morning, right? Right now they're selling from 0.15, 0.20 area, which again, midpoint area, but the potential is looking a little more on the bear side, if you will. Like if I look at the delta on Nasdaq right now, if I can ever find it. Where the hell is it? So look at the delta on NAS, right? Super, super heavy selling into the low. I like this though. Remember, we talked about or you can't see it, I don't think. We talked about the delta on the S&P in the morning session. It looked very similar. Buying stuck into the highs, selling kind of into the lows, where I would want that buying to get trapped and hold. Nice, same shit happened here or earlier on, but right now, huge negative delta into these lows. You have this like drop off over here. We need that, right? Target down here into the next imbalance, 870 on the NQ. But they got to clear this auction low. Solid. Oh yeah. Any other questions? I'm expecting this thing to break lower and we just try to get more of a continuation to the downside here. NASDAQ doing the work, right? NASDAQ doing pretty well to sell right now. I'll read this poll because why not? Some pretty good questions. You redefine the question, Kevin. Maybe I can answer it, but I'm not 100% sure. What are some what am I trying to say? What's some expectations then? What do you guys think? Just a little guess at the close. Where do you think price is gonna land? A little fun little right there. Looking for something crazy, something outlandish. It's a guess, fair. 32s. Fine. Not hating. $57, $53, Edwin. Bro, you guys aren't fun. Give me something crazy. 53 is right here. What's something ridiculous? But it's a guess, fair enough. 57.16. See, I like that. That's crazy. That's down here somewhere. I honestly think we could revisit these 5700s, right? If things go well. If we just like flatline close 57.53 today, I don't say well done, but like damn.
TRADEPRO Academy, let's close this call out. 5, 4, 3, 2,
Pretty mixed between up and down.
Pre,
You guys struggle with the
yeah.
choppiness. Like I think that's what gets you is like the sideways price action. Can put you on a long for a bit, then short, then long, and between choppy entries. What did you struggle with instead of me making predictions here?
Yeah, I think if you were like getting caught up in these, like I think Fatty's choppiness, honestly. Like I think that's probably what people struggle with the most. I still think like overall Room did pretty well today. That just one trade. Especially with these OPEX, like ugh, what a freaking just slow session here.
Yeah. Thank you for the numbers, Bucks. Appreciate you, Habibi.
My pleasure.
Another wrap up.
Uh-huh.
Thank you.
So the oil market has basically stayed flat. It's just running mostly around its VWAP. It's gets a little above it. The VWAP is down on the open now. We've gotten above it, we've gotten below it, but there's really no trend now. At the moment, we just caught a long trend because we are making a series of higher highs and higher lows. So long may be the way to go, at least at this moment. Whatever you do, monitor your risk, trade like TradePro, preserve that capital. Gentlemen, another great session, another great week. Thank you so much. I hope you too and all of TradePro Academy has a great rest of today and a great weekend, and we'll see everybody on Monday. Ciao.
Thank you, Bucksy. Appreciate you, sir. Enjoy your weekend. 71% life positive between both polls. So yes, the room did pretty good between the early exit and the main poll. But yeah, good numbers. 70% is really good. And as far as the market, like towards the like in the morning, first thing me and Vic said was like we're leaning towards the sell side, Nasdaq to hold 0.80, and this has been the case. It's just the way it did it made it harder for us to hold trade because it didn't like just straight shot sell. No, each 10 points we made a range that of like 30 points, and we held that range for half an hour each. So yeah, it was harder. I tried 2 trades on the session, short 16 to 18, and last trade was like 990. I posted that trade on futures Discord if you guys want to take a look. It was a breakout trade, but like I wouldn't say breakout, it's just closer rotations to the lows. I like the weakness, and unlike Victorio, I can trade order flow like separately from like the main distributions. So like what I mean is like if I see a thesis like towards the morning unfolding, like let's say I'm looking for the sell and I see weakness towards an area of price, I don't mind getting in. It's just like with this approach, you do it smaller, and when you're playing like with Victorio's like bigger distributions because they don't trade often, you trade those ones bigger and try to ride them, for the session or so. So my last short was actually 990. I posted on Discord, and yeah, I have one more left to that. That was a good trade. I like the weakness. Same way I qualified the 16 to 18. It's just the quick reactions or the quick sells. I put a lot of emphasis on those. So a rotation back into them, I don't mind trying it as long as it's really, it's a move that I qualify as weakness. And it comes down to speed, the size, the areas that the prices are trading in. So those were my 2 trades, and yeah, nice, decent day for me. No complaints. 2 trades were good. Last ones ran further, and for the rest of the session, if we're taking wild guesses, I think honestly, I think Nasdaq lands into like 780, 800 region for some reason. That's just my wild guess. And for now, if you're trading this, there is weakness. You broke outside the 070 on the the 970 on the Nasdaq. So regardless which view you're looking in, you're looking for a pullback to get short into. And yeah, we'll be on Discord and we'll keep you guys updated. Vic, back to you, brother.
Yeah, I like the target to the downside. I think like we're slipping through the distribution low right now on NAS. And like if we get under that 900, it's a very viable target. Like could happen faster than we think. S&P slipping up right now, not as like aggressively. Like what Fede was saying, yeah, I don't really like to trade the areas between the auction, right? Yeah, okay. You can have like the order flow aspect to it. I agree. But I'm in a place right now where I'm just trying to trade the larger extremes, but like there's potential there. Even if you're trading just like smaller size on it, you saw those 58s go offer here on the spoos. We're down a decent bit from that area right now. So let's see what we get. I think there's a little more downside, right? Some people are saying that we end up pinned on the spoos, right? Where we close pretty much where we're at, 57, 53. Fatty's looking for downside on NAS. I'm looking for a little more downside too. I think we close a little lower, right? Some people saying 57.16. I like it. Honestly, if we can open this offer 5,700, not outlandish, but let's see what we get into the afternoon. I'm probably gonna be less active, right? It's OPEX. I don't know, maybe some like crazier stuff can happen in the afternoon, but I don't know. We'll see how this thing shapes up. So anyways, I'll see you guys in Discord. Thank you all. Enjoy the weekend, and if you have any questions, you know where to find me. Take care and thank you.
Awesome. Take care, guys. See you next week.